Hello, it's midnight and you're watching Nightline. I'm Raymond Goh. News making the headlines. At least 9 states in the country opt not to ease the restrictions under the MCO. And no approval is needed for those who have registered for interstate travel, say police. Good morning. As the nation enters into the Conditional Movement Control Order CMCO phase from today, Monday, May 4th, at least 9 states said they are opting not to completely follow the federal government's move to ease the restrictions under the MCO. All 9 state administrations gave their reasons for making this decision, appearing to understanding that there is a need to take stock of the nation's economy and at the same time the well-being of the rakyat. Kedah, Selangor, Negeri Sembilan, Pahang, Pulau Pinang, Kelantan and Perak are among the latest states to announce this decision on Sunday. This in addition to Sabah and Sarawak announcing the decision earlier. Pahang Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Wan Rosdi Wan Ismail said although the state government supported the Prime Minister's announcement on the conditional MCO, it has to study and fine-tune it to match the current state of the COVID-19 outbreak in Pahang, the details of which are slated to be discussed further in the State Security Working Committee's weekly meeting on Friday. Kedah Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Mukris Mahathir said a special security committee would meet on Tuesday to study the implementation of the conditional MCO. This is to ensure it was suitable for the state, saying it would scrutinize the requirements and guidelines announced by the federal government. Up north in Pulau Pinang, its Chief Minister, Chow Kon Yeow, noted that the state will not enforce conditional MCO, but will instead do it gradually. As such, it will only be enforced from May 8th for the Pearl of the Orient. In a Facebook Live message on Sunday, he said the state will only allow selected sectors to reopen starting May 8th under the CMCO, and finally other sectors on May 13th. In the central states of Selangor and Negeri Sembilan, the number of businesses that would be allowed to resume operations on Monday would be restricted. Selangor Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Amiruddin Shari, in a statement, said that food outlets, stalls and business premises are allowed to operate from 7 a.m. in the morning to 10 p.m. at night, provided their operations are for takeaways and deliveries, minus the dine-ins. Meanwhile, businesses without premises, such as roadside stalls and food trucks, will be allowed to operate after the original deadline for the 4th phase of the MCO, which is on May 12th. This is to ensure that local authorities have enough time to prepare for social distancing and contact tracing. The Negeri Sembilan government has also decided against allowing food and beverage outlets to open for dine-in for the time being. The state government also decided not to allow any sports or social activities to resume. As for Perak, it is not agreeable to the dine-in move. However, restaurants, food courts, kiosks, food trucks and street stalls are allowed to conduct business only for takeaways and deliveries. Although the state administration, led by Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Ahmad Faizal Azumu, supports healthy lifestyles, as far as public recreational parks are concerned, they are still closed. In Kelantan, Menteri Besar Datuk Ahmad Yaakob said the state does not want to ease restrictions too early, although the entire state enjoyed green zone status. Its security committee would meet on Thursday to deliberate further on the subject. Sabah had earlier said it would not be adopting the federal government's conditional MCO and would maintain the restrictions put in place in Phase 4 of the Movement Control Order, which will end on May 12th. The Sarawak Disaster Management Committee, SDMC, announced that the state had also decided not to implement the conditional MCO until it had studied the possible implications. No approval is needed for those who have registered for interstate travel with the police. Federal CID Director Dato' Huzir Muhammad said that during the upcoming interstate travel period, there will be no QR code generated for users of the Gerak Malaysia phone application as well. The CID chief said once an applicant registers through the application, there is no notification for approval and that all one needs to do is to apply.
Apa pun adalah tentang kesihatan. Kalau tuan-tuan register dengan apps ini, sekiranya didapati bahawa ada di kalangan kita ni ataupun siapa yang positif, aplikasi inilah yang akan membantu kita untuk buat contact tracing. Okey. Memang banyak yang banyak yang kita boleh dapati kemudahan ataupun faedah yang sekiranya kita menggunakan aplikasi inilah.
Speaking at a news conference at the Federal Police Headquarters in Bukit Aman on Sunday, he pointed out that those who do not have smartphones or the Gerak Malaysia application will have to make appointments first before going to the nearest police station to manually apply for permission before the May 7th to 10th travel period. Dato' Huzir also listed the travelling schedule that Malaysians who applied for interstate travel would have to comply with. To date, more than 1 million downloads of the Gerak Malaysia application, with over 500,000 already indicating on the app that they wish to travel interstate.
Besides the Gerak Malaysia mobile application, the government has developed 2 other applications to assist the people during the pandemic, MyTrace and MySejahtera. MyTrace is to help the health authority manage COVID-19 outbreaks. The app adopts a community-driven approach where participating devices exchange proximity information whenever an app detects another nearby device. The app enables identification of people who have been in close proximity to an infected person. MyTrace will complement the MySejahtera app launched earlier and uses Bluetooth for contact tracing. The MySejahtera app allows users to perform self-health assessment on themselves and their families. The users can also monitor their health progress through the COVID-19 outbreak. Also, MySejahtera enables the Health Ministry to monitor users' health condition and take immediate actions in providing the treatments required. The Gerak Malaysia app mitigates the spread of the virus through contact tracing. The app also provides additional features such as the latest information from relevant authorities as well as general COVID-19 preventive measures and advice.
With all public transport services also set to resume on Monday, social distancing will be implemented in such transport. Senior Minister for Security Cluster, Dato' Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, said the number of passengers will be limited to half the normal capacity of each public vehicle. For private vehicles, however, there is a different rule once the Conditional Movement Control Order takes effect.
Mereka makan bersama, tidur bersama dan sebagainya. Sebab itulah kerajaan memutuskan untuk membenarkan untuk kenderaan persendirian, membenarkan maksimum 4 orang di dalam setiap kenderaan, tetapi mestilah dari keluarga yang sama, dari rumah yang sama. Jadi walaupun saya percaya mungkin ada yang cuba untuk membawa kawan-kawan dan sebagainya, ada yang engkar, dan seperti saya kata bahawa SOP ini mesti dipatuhi dan sesiapa yang melanggar SOP juga akan dikenakan tindakan.
As of Saturday, more than 400 individuals had been arrested for violating the MCO, taking the cumulative number of arrests to over 23,600. The police and army conducted checks on 552,999 vehicles at 823 roadblocks around the country on Saturday. As malls and several other public places set to reopen on Monday, the Health Ministry stressed the need for people in this country to have a high level of social discipline. Its Director General, Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah, said that the virus would likely remain in the community for a year or even 2 years, and the only 2 ways to contain its spread would be through an MCO or Standard Operating Procedure, SOP. The health DG pointed out that what was important was the adherence to the SOP, noting that some countries with a high level of social discipline, such as Sweden and Taiwan, had not introduced any form of lockdown to control the spread of COVID-19.
As I said, put on a mask if possible, social distancing, make sure that you try to avoid contact. That's where I think this is a general principle. Every one of us must practice this general principle. And hopefully by doing so, we comply to the SOP and we can break the chain of infection if we comply to the SOP. That's why we forbid in terms of prohibit in terms of public gathering and practice this social distancing. We do not have a vaccine at the moment. We do not have a treatment at the moment. The only vaccine we have is social distancing, but we need to practice it. So in terms of social discipline, social compliance, and it's actually a social responsibility for all of us to make sure that we comply. Either PKP or PKPB, both we have to comply.
In giving an update of the COVID-19 situation in the country, Dr. Noor Hisham said there had been 122 new cases, bringing the cumulative cases to 6,298, of which 52 are imported cases. 2 new deaths were reported, bringing the death toll to 105. 27 patients are currently being treated in the intensive care unit, ICU, with 13 needing respiratory assistance. 87 patients have recovered, bringing the total number discharged so far to 4,413. Currently, a total of 1,780 people are still being treated. The Petaling and Gombak areas, which were previously declared as yellow zones, have returned to red zones. This after more than 40 positive COVID-19 cases were recorded on Saturday. This brings the total of red zone districts in Selangor to 3. Besides Gombak and Petaling, Hulu Langat is also a red zone district with 77, 49 and 43 cases respectively. 6 other districts remain in the yellow zone: Klang, Kuala Selangor, Kuala Langat, Sepang, Sabak Bernam and Hulu Selangor. Previously, the Health Ministry said that surveillance on areas categorized under these zones will continue, even after the Movement Control Order, MCO, is lifted. As economic activities restart on Monday, coordination from the government and private sectors is crucial. This according to the World Bank. Its senior economist Smita Kuriakose said measures announced to accelerate and increase allocations for large public investment projects and programs should have a positive impact on demand during construction and could benefit growth in the longer run. In a statement on Sunday, Kuriakose said once businesses can safely operate, efforts should focus on boosting demand and reactivating supply chains. Adopting broad-based fiscal stimulus consistent with available fiscal space can help lift aggregate demand. Some of the projects include the East Coast Rail Link, Mass Rapid Transit 2, and the National Fiberization and Connectivity Plan. On foreign direct investment, the World Bank senior economist said that immediate efforts should focus on the retention of existing foreign investors and the preservation of supply chains connecting foreign and domestic, often SME suppliers. With supply chains and client relations disrupted by the crisis, government agencies can help SMEs reintegrate into supply chains and find new domestic and export markets to help reduce the time to recovery. Kuriakose also said that it is important for the government to communicate how the current financial support measures for firms will evolve as the post-MCO reopening phase continues. It is critical to avoid removing support measures too soon, and some key measures may have to continue to operate, even as firms restart their operations. Close dialogue with representatives of different segments from the private sector, especially SMEs, can help inform the government in their decisions. After the breather, Zahid Hamidi's daughter, son-in-law, to be charged with flouting MCO. Details when we come back. We're back with more home news. The Inspector General of Police has urged for the maximum penalty against the suspect responsible for the death of a policeman after the suspect rammed into a police roadblock at the Kajang South Toll Plaza in Selangor early on Sunday. Tan Sri Abdul Hamid Bador said initial investigations revealed that the suspect was driving in a dangerous manner and was under the influence of alcohol.
Dalam tempoh perintah kawalan pergerakan ini tadi, semua pergerakan memang dihadkan dan sempat mengambil minuman keras, misalnya mengambil minuman keras dan memandu dan menyebabkan kemalangan hingga berlaku kematian. So, satu perbuatan yang amat tidak bertanggungjawab. Saya berharaplah di akhir ini nanti dalam kes ini tadi pemandu ini akan menerima hukuman yang semaksimalnya lah sebagai pengajaran kepada lain-lain orang.
The IGP said this when met at the Serdang Hospital, where the body of Corporal Safwan Muhammad Ismail had been sent for post-mortem. In the 2:11 a.m. incident, the 31-year-old Safwan, who was manning an MCO roadblock, was hit by a Toyota Hilux driven by a suspected drunk driver and died at the scene due to serious injuries to his body and head. Kajang District Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Muhammad Zahid Hassan said the investigation showed that the driver was driving from Kajang towards the Kajang South Toll Plaza. Upon reaching the roadblock, the suspect failed to control the vehicle and hit the policeman before crashing into a car parked on the road shoulder. Safwan's remains were laid to rest at the Kampung Bakar Bata Muslim Cemetery in Tanjung Rambutan at about 3 p.m. The Prime Minister, in the meantime, hopes that the fatal incident involving Corporal Safwan will not dampen the spirit of the Royal Malaysian Police PDRM's personnel and other frontliners in carrying out their responsibilities. He said this through his Facebook account when conveying his condolences to the late policeman's family on Sunday. Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin also expressed sadness over the news and considered it a loss to the Royal Malaysia Police. Bukit Aman Police confirmed on Sunday that Bagan Datuk MP Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi's daughter and son-in-law will soon be hauled to court for violating the Movement Control Order (MCO). Datuk Nurul Hidayah Ahmad Zahid and her husband Datuk Saiful Nizam Muhammad Yusof will be charged with violating the Prevention and Control of Infectious Diseases Measures within the Infected Local Areas Regulations 2020. The case was also investigated under the Penal Code for unlawfully or negligently committing an act which the person knows or has reason to believe is likely to spread the infection of any disease dangerous to life.
Pada hari Selasa ni di Mahkamah KL, hari Selasa ni. Nah, ini dah keputusan telah dibuat, keputusan oleh pihak AG telah dibuat. Dan dia akan dituduh pada Selasa ni di Mahkamah KL, Multimedia Malaysia.
The two offences carry a 6-month jail term and/or fine upon conviction and a 1,000 ringgit fine or 6 months imprisonment upon conviction. Still to come on Nightline, neighbouring countries report more new coronavirus cases and deaths. This and more after this break. On to the foreign front. North and South Korea exchanged gunfire around the South's guard post inside a heavily fortified border between the two countries early Sunday, raising tensions a day after North Korean leader Kim Jong-un ended an almost 3-week absence from public view, with state media showing him visiting a factory. The South's Joint Chiefs of Staff said in a statement that multiple gunshots were fired from North Korea at 7:41 a.m. local time towards a guard post in South Korea. South Korea responded by firing 2 shots towards North Korea. However, no injuries were reported. The exchange of gunshots was the latest confrontation between the rival Koreas that technically remain at war. In a lengthy briefing held later on Sunday, an official at South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said the gunshots did not seem a planned provocation, as the area where it occurred was farmland, but declined to provide a clear conclusion about the incident. It was also reported that the two sides are now in talks via a military communication line. Indonesia reported 349 new COVID-19 cases, taking the total number of infections in the Southeast Asian country to 11,192. Its health ministry official Ahmad Yuryanto said on Sunday 14 new coronavirus-related deaths were confirmed, bringing the total to 845. He added that more than 83,000 people have been tested for the virus. In Jakarta, the number of burials was close to record highs in April, indicating that there may have been many more deaths from COVID-19 in the city than have been officially recorded. Jakarta is the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak in the world's fourth most populous country. Local authorities introduced a movement control order on Jakarta in March, closing schools and some businesses. On April 24th, travel out of the city was strictly banned in an effort to stop more people leaving for the annual post-Ramadan exodus from Greater Jakarta. In the Philippines, families of COVID-19 victims are being denied traditional death rites in favor of hurried and impersonal cremations, with virus restrictions often meaning they are forbidden a last look at their loved ones. Burial is the norm in the Catholic majority nation, and it usually follows a days-long display of the embalmed body at home or in a chapel. But due to the pandemic, authorities are encouraging rapid cremations, a painful and disorienting process for the families that has upended the Philippines' intimate rituals of laying the dead to rest. The Philippines has detected nearly 9,223 infections on Sunday and officially recorded 607 deaths. Over in South Korea, crowds thronged a beach in Seoul during the ongoing long weekend, with public holidays on April 30th in conjunction with Buddha's birthday and May 5th in conjunction with Children's Day. South Korea appears to have turned a corner in its aggressive fight against the COVID-19, but an air of caution remains among the public. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres praised South Korea Thursday for combating the COVID-19 while simultaneously fighting climate change, a remarkable example of how the two things can be put together. South Korea recorded a total number of 10,793 cases on Sunday, with 250 deaths. Russia on Sunday recorded its highest daily rise in confirmed coronavirus cases, with 10,633 new cases in a day. This brings the overall number of cases to 134,686. However, the mortality rate showed in recent days and remains much lower in relative terms than many other countries. The nationwide death toll rose to 1,280 after 58 people died in the last 24 hours. And now let's take a quick look at the highlights in Malaysia's main newspapers for Sunday, or rather for Monday, May the 4th. The New Sunday Times, the New Straits Times highlights on certain states' decision that opted not to ease the restrictions on MCO as the country readies for business to resume on May 4th. While the nation's best-selling Malay newspaper, Harian Metro, reports on an incident involving a driver who drove under the influence of alcohol, resulting in the death of a policeman. Another report on interstate travel, whereby no approval is required for those who have registered through Gerak app, takes the front page of Berita Harian. Finally, the Malaysia Reserve puts a special report on domestic air passenger traffic, expected to slowly recover by the end of the year. Do get your copies today or subscribe to the e-paper. And that's all the time we have for Nightline this time around. As we wrap up, let's take a look at the drone footage of a seaside resort of Ayia Napa in Cyprus, one of the Mediterranean island's top tourist destinations that's usually already drawing plane loads of holidaymakers at this time of the year, but has been virtually deserted since mid-March due to a movement control order aimed at halting the spread of COVID-19. With that, I'm Raymond Goh. Thank you for tuning in, and to all our Muslim viewers, Selamat Bersahur.